most notably the last, I guess about 75 days of my life, I have done essentially the same thing every single morning. And it has drastically changed my life. What's going on, family? I think I'm going to try different formats for this channel. I did like the short, here's 5 things, whatever the name of the title, whatever. I most enjoy just grabbing the microphone and just talking for 30 to 45 minutes. And I get that that's not the desirable format for most people, but I know that there is an audience that desires that, like a podcast type thing with a video and just getting really, really, I think, insightful information in long format. So I want to do that. And even in this tone of voice, it's just simpler for me. Trying out some new aesthetics and stuff for this new apartment that I moved into in LA. And yeah, so anyways, I talked about in my last video about how we should focus on systems versus having goals for 2024. And I mean that, and I live that, and I can make this video confidently, not out of theory, not simply because I've read books and watched videos about it, but because I have done it. I've done it sporadically throughout my life and seen results. And then I've done it consistently and seen results from that. And most notably, the last, I guess about 75 days of my life, I have done essentially the same thing every single morning. And it has drastically changed my life. We are now in January. I don't want to go into too much detail about how my morning routine has changed my life. I don't want to prematurely share the triumphs and victories and stuff because I don't want to lose momentum. But I can tell you a few things that maybe you are interested in your life, that you want to see in your life, and maybe hearing about what I do in my morning routine, it may affect yours as well. You may want to implement it as well. Not may. You definitely want to have absolutely want to have a morning routine in your life. No matter what your life is, you have space for it. You can carve it out. It just takes a lot of intentionality. One of the main things that has changed in my life that I actually did not anticipate from this morning routine that I will share with you in a bit, that is an extremely high net positive in my mental and brain health. I want to say brain health a lot more on this channel, and just in general, I think we should speak in those terms, because not that there's anything inherently wrong with mental health. I just think that when we speak of mental health in the mainstream, in the popular social media space of it, oftentimes it can be very abstract. When I say the word mental or mind, what do you think of? You could be a lot of different things that, depending on the person, depending on your experience with that, a lot of different images may come to mind, or very vague images altogether. But if I say brain, what do you think of? You think of this gray mass in your head. And I think that when we speak of brain health, it puts more emphasis on the truth that all of our mental processes, however the word is pronounced, all of the cognition can be found in some physiological level. And the way that we treat our body, the food that we eat, the type of things that it consumes externally, those all translate into physiological events. So your brain health is I think, a more specific way of speaking about mental, and it also makes it more obtainable. I think when we speak simply about mental, we put it in the ether. We talk about our trauma and our past and these things that we may or may not be able to touch. But a lot of it is neglected in the body, in the very physical realm. So my brain health has improved dramatically because of having a morning routine. I know this because I, like many other people, have struggled for years with depression and suicidal ideation, most notably in the winter. Many of you may know it as seasonal affective disorder or seasonal depression, where in the winter months, when the sun is not as frequent or not as long during the day, you suffer from having lower moods, more depressive episodes during the winter. And I have dealt with that for years, up until really the winter of 2022 going into 2023 was really bad for me. I have been keeping a tally of all the days that I have been depressed this winter. I started keeping a tally of it right around the time that I started doing this morning routine, which was in the beginning of November. We are now almost done with January, and I have had 3 days of depression, 3 days of low moods out of all. And some of you may say, well, that didn't sound like a cure. It sounds like you still got depression. Let me tell you, as someone who has struggled with it for weeks at a time in the winter, having 3 separate days out of the last 2, almost 3 months is extremely impressive for me. And I can narrow down what those days were. I've been keeping a journal, a daily log of the things that I eat, the way that I work out, the things that I've done that day. And so it's almost like a science experiment. I can actually look through the variables of those days and see why I was depressed, what triggered, what allowed me to move into that mode. And I'll discuss that maybe later in this video or in another separate video altogether. But those 3 days had something all in common that I've been able to specifically address. So the morning routine has improved my mental and brain health. It has improved my physical health in many ways. I've never been able to put on muscle mass this quickly. I cannot wait to do the before and after videos to show online. I'm keeping it under wraps right now, but wow, I've never been able to have this much success in the gym. My breathing, my cardiovascular, all these things that I keep track of on my Apple Watch, significantly improved. Just did my yearly physical with my doctor last week. Vitals are better than ever. My joint health and mobility, I've always had really stiff hips. I struggled very badly in my mid-20s with tendonitis and knee aches. And I, for the most part, have kind of solved that in a lot of ways. But wow, even more these days. My relationship to other people has drastically improved, namely my parents and my immediate family. And then my relation to even strangers that I pass on the street and parties or events that I may go to, as someone who has always identified as sort of ambivert. I'm extroverted and also introvert, but moving to LA has really moved that introversion more into a space of social anxiety that I've never experienced before. I had never experienced social anxiety where I am in a social setting and I feel my heart pumping a little faster, blood is racing, foggy mind. I'm extremely nervous, almost needing to have a drink just to be in the space of other people. I don't know if pandemic played a part in that, but man, I've started noticing, not in any sort of analytical or scientific way, but just anecdotally talking to people, how I've noticed that after pandemic, a lot of people have been saying they've been experiencing social anxiety and they've never experienced it before, or they had it before and it got worse after pandemic. So my relationship to people has also improved because of this morning routine. And I believe that through this morning routine, I could keep naming things, but eventually I would name everything in my life, whether it be physical, financial, spiritually, clarity of mind, brain, wherever it goes, creatively, professionally, has been affected by having a system. Why is that? Why is it that when we have a routine, the spontaneous things become better? We are in a space in life, in social media, as a generation, as a culture, where novelty is key, where we look at what people do as highlights. We want to experience novelty. We actually resist. The word routine almost sounds like a cuss word, almost sounds like a profanity, because we don't want to do what's routine. We want to do what is novel. Life is short. Go do new things. And we neglect the mundane. Not only do we neglect the mundane, we despise the mundane. And as someone who is now pulling a lot from my religious background as a way of guiding me, I'm not returning to Christianity in any metaphysical, spiritual, fundamental, literal sense. But in many ways, I have been embracing the cultural, the sort of wise truths of religion, of faith. I have many critiques about religion and faith. Many. But for as many critiques that I have about faith, maybe I need to be more vocal about it, I also have praises. I don't think religion is going anywhere. There's always this talk about a resurgence of religious faith. Even now with the Gen Zers, there's a resurgence of religion. There's always going to be, I think resurgence of religion will always be there. I think, maybe this is a whole nother video, I believe that the more the line blurs between reality and artificial intelligence, between humanity and AI, I believe there will be another resurgence of deep religious, at least curiosity, as a way to embrace our humanity, to feel different, significantly different than the thing that keeps trying to be more and more like us. Whole nother conversation. What am I getting at? Well, one story that I love in the Bible that I don't think I harped on enough as a Christian, I don't think enough Christians harp on it enough, was the story of Elijah in the book of, I believe it's 1 Kings. I'm rusty now on, I used to be able to just quote book, chapter, verse. Like I was on it. Oh yeah, man, that's Romans 7, da 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 da. Like I was on it. Not as much anymore. But Elijah was being persecuted. He was running away from his enemies. He desires to die. He has suicidal ideation, also another conversation. And he goes to sleep, asks for God to kill him in his sleep or not allow him to wake up. An angel of the Lord comes to him, tells him to wake up and you must eat. And now I'm forgetting the order of this part of the story, but I do know in this narrative, Elijah then is looking for God. He's told to go, I believe, to a mountain, and he's looking for the presence of God. He's looking for direction. He's looking for peace. He's looking for purpose. He is looking for grand narrative, and he is looking for ultimate truth and ultimate experience of truth. which is a very important distinction. And as the narrative goes, it says that a great earthquake comes, but God was not in the earthquake. And then a great fire comes, but God was not in the fire. A great wind comes, but God was not in the wind. God, ultimate experience of truth, was not in any of these elaborate events, in any of these loud and novel events. Earthquakes don't happen extremely often. Tornadoes don't happen extremely often, at least not an everyday occurrence, even in places that they do happen. Big fires also are not an extremely common thing. These are all novel events. And then it says, a still small voice comes, a whisper comes. And that's where the presence of God was, where the experience of ultimate truth is, in something very simple, not chaotic, something that is quite mundane. Whispers and voices happening quite often. And I think oftentimes, whether as a Christian or a non-Christian, we are looking for a next phase of our life to take place, the next ultimate experience of truth and rapture, excitement, joy, contentment to be found in a vacation, to be found at this next elaborate event, a conference, an achievement, a goal that was set, a big life moment, whether it be marriage or graduation or children or whatever it may be. We look for it in these novel things rather than the mundane. And I believe, which is a whole other conversation as well about my experience with Christianity and how many people tend to lean that in order to experience God, it must be in the loud and novel versus the quiet and simple and mundane. I believe that we are missing out on the ultimate experience of truth, the ultimate experience of anything that is worthwhile and purposeful in life, because we are looking away from the mundane, away from the simple, and trying to find what is the next novel thing rather than being present right now. Because if every moment of life is only as good as the moments that it's somehow working towards, the goals, the aspirations, the dreams, the afterlife, if these moments are only as good as some other moment, then they ultimately lose any real value or weight, because we're always constantly looking for the moment that this moment is supposed to be working towards. Well, if you continue that ad nauseum infinitely, then no moment means anything, because it's always working towards the next day. But there's always going to be a next day, even if you don't exist. They say tomorrow is not promised. Tomorrow is promised. It's just not promised that you're going to be there to experience it. But there will be another day. Even if all of the earth is consumed in flooded waters and climate change, and all of humanity is wiped off the face of the earth, there will be a tomorrow. We're just not guaranteed to be there to experience it. But if we're always looking for the next day, then the now never really matters. The mundane, the simple never really has any significance. And I think that when we return to the routine, when we return to being present with the simple things, you will find God. However you want to define God, I have no problem using the container that is God to describe what I believe all humanity is searching for, is some sense of significance and meaning and worthwhileness of life. Whenever we say energy or the universe or God, I believe we're trying to say, I want this to mean something. But even the word meaning is predicated upon this moment being attached to another moment versus experiencing these individual moments, finding joy in every moment, finding weight and gravity in every moment. And I believe that comes from having a routine. And out of the routine, spontaneous novelty can arise. I won't go into a diatribe about evolution, but I believe that's how we got here. But even if you don't want to get into what may be controversial for some people, even if you only want to talk about what we know to be about plants, that in order for a plant to grow, in order for there to be spontaneous things to happen, life to grow out of the dirt, there must be some sense of routine, a regular receiving of water and sunlight, a type of soil it must grow in. You can't make plants grow. You cannot make food grow from the ground. You can only create a habitable, beneficial environment for that thing to do what it is best at doing. And I believe that when we create an environment in our lives, an intentional, routine environment in our lives, then we will be able to see growth. But too many of us are focused only on the growth. We buy plants that we have no intention of caring for in a systematic way, and they die. We have dreams that we have no systematic way of planning to care for, and they die. So rather than focusing simply on the plant, especially if you want to grow anything out of the dirt and there's no plant there to begin with, it's easier to maintain than it is to organically grow something out of the dirt. So if you have dreams that you're trying to grow out of the dirt, you cannot simply put that seed on a table and think that it's going to grow. You can't put the seed on the ground. You can't put it on top of your computer desk. You need to put it in something that creates an environment for it to do what it's going to do. And you have a lot of potential in you, like a seed, a lot of maybe natural giftings or dispositions or leanings that you have in you that you are aware of, and they seem to keep reaching a ceiling. And it is because you don't have systems in place that allow you to organically grow. We are hyper-focused on goals and ambitions and not on systems. I believe that if we focus more on the systems, what we aspire to be will come from that. But you can't just say, I want to be a fit person. You can't just say, I want to be an engineer. I want to be a musician. I want to be fill in the blank. Because there are a lot of people who have the exact same goals and two different results and outcomes. So it can't be that goals are somehow the deciding factor about who becomes successful. Because for every one player that is in the NBA, there are thousands other who had the exact same dream and didn't make it because of systems, whether it be personal systems or even, I understand, external systems. Some people are born into athletic NBA families who have money to put them in the right train, but it's still systems regardless. So, and we can talk about internal versus external systems and That's a whole other conversation of itself, but you need to have a routine. Joe, you're doing all this talking. You still haven't told us what your routine is. You just over here preaching. I think it's necessary to understand the importance of systems, that we need to focus on systems first. To take it out of the biological, we can put it in the digital. If there is an app that you want to use, I edit my videos on DaVinci or Final Cut Pro. And you say, I want to edit videos like you edit. What do you use? Or I say, well, I use DaVinci or I use Final Cut. Okay, cool. I want to download that. How much is it? DaVinci is free. Final Cut Pro is, I believe, $300. Oh, cool. That's all I need. Well, technically, but you do need a computer. Oh, I don't have a computer. I don't like computers. I just want to edit videos. And some of y'all are looking like, wait, what? That's how it sounds when you say I have goals, but I don't want systems to run them. You sound like somebody who wants to download an app with no operating system to run the app. Operating systems run the applications, and your dreams are like applications. They do not run without systems. To be fair and more honest, I think what's more accurate in this discussion is that we actually do all have systems. They may not be very intentional or very good. So think of your systems that you're trying to run these applications on. Rather than saying you have no system, think of it as an old computer. You have a 2015 computer. Got 2 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of memory, whatever, old Intel processor, and you're trying to run an app that comes out in 2024. It may or may not run. It may or may not open up, but I guarantee you it won't run smoothly if it does open up. It will eventually crash, or it will take an extremely long time and a very frustrating experience to actually run that app on an old computer. And you have outdated, unintentional systems that are trying to run complicated new applications. You have systems that were given to you by society years ago, or given to you by your family, or just haphazardly given to you by yourself, and you just kind of wake up unintentionally. You kind of go with the flow. You don't have a thing that you do all the time. And yet you have these new goals. I want to make more money. I want to lose weight. I want to gain muscle. I want to run faster. I want to run a marathon. I want to be an artist. I want to have this many followers. I want to be able to do this many shows. Whatever it is that you want to do are new goals and aspirations that you're trying to run on old systems. And then you wonder why they keep crashing. It's going to crash because the system is not updated. The system is not powerful enough or flexible enough to handle these heavier programs that you're trying to load onto it. So as a tech person, as somebody who makes videos and edits audio and all that, while I'm so excited about the different apps and updates that come on the applications or even new equipment, these cameras that now, you can shoot 8K, 4K is just, right, that's just standard now. It better shoot 4K. Like, no camera is not coming out with 4K, but not only just 4K, but even get more technical, H.265, which is the successor of H.264. It's a great file type for videos, file container. However, older computers have a very, very difficult time running it. But if you get an M1 or M2 Mac, you can run 4K on a MacBook Air. It's not an issue at all. So while I'm trying to keep up with the hardware and goals of, I want my videos to look a certain way or whatever, these goals that I have on the hardware that I'm using and the applications that I want to use to edit them, Final Cut Pro can handle H.265, HEVC videos. That's great. But if I don't have a computer that can run it, the program either crashes or it just takes a really, really long time. So in the tech space, not only am I updating my aspirations, but I also have to update the system. I've got to get a better computer. As these things evolve, my systems have to evolve with them. So you, as a person who may have evolving goals, you have to have evolving systems. I should get to my system now. Systems can be a lot of different things. I have a system for how I want my car to be. I have systems for the days of the week for myself. I have systems in how I approach weightlifting and running and all that. But then, so there's systems on top of systems for sure, these underlying systems. But I think the sort of launching pad that has been like sort of the launching system for me, the operating system, in many ways has been the morning routine. And when the morning routine has a bug in it, the rest of the day has a bug in it for me. And I've had several buggy days, even literally, because I got sick. And so that kind of threw off some stuff. I'm still recovering. And so last week I got through the routines, but man, they were late and it affected the rest of the day. So if your system has a bug in it, you've got to find the virus and you've got to get rid of it. It all applies. So, but every morning I've been doing the same thing for 75 days, essentially, maybe a little longer, but let's just say 75 days to be safe. 75 days I've done the same thing every morning with a little bit of variation, some things sort of reordered, some things added in, some things taken out, I'll be honest. But the basis of it has been the same. I've had a morning routine every single day for the past 75 days, and my life has been the better for it. I'm pulling out my journal now to pull up a typical day that I've had these past 75 days. Even on January 1st, first day of the year, I was up at 6:32 a.m. I thought, what better day to have a routine than the first day of the year? Granted, I was doing this before the new year started. My new year really kind of started in November. But January 1st, that morning, every morning, I wake up like everybody does, but I wake up before the sun comes up. I woke up a little late because I stayed out late that night because it was New Year. I stayed out till I was in bed about 12:30. But normally I try to get up around 5:45, 6 a.m., but I got up at 6:32 a.m. And every morning I wake up and make up my bed. That is so crucial, to just make up your bed. I sound like Jordan Peterson now, or even Joyce Meyer. I think she had a thing about making up your bed. You want to conquer the world, but can't conquer your own bed sheets. You have got to make up your bed. And it is a sort of symbol of saying, this is how I want to approach the rest of the day. Not haphazardly, not unintentionally, but intentionally, and organized and disciplined. The first thing I do is I get up and I make up my bed before I do anything else. I also want to add that your morning really starts at night. So you need to get to bed at a certain time. And I started this before this morning routine over a year now. I had a lull during the summertime last year, but I do not sleep with my phone in my bedroom anymore. It is like a cardinal sin. Like, that is a no, not even during the day. That place is a sanctuary. The phone does not go in there. When it does go in there, it leads to havoc. So I do not sleep with my phone in the bed. Many of us who have sleep problems, really that comes from a lot of different things. But one of the things that's not helping that is sleeping with your phone in the bed. Do not sleep with your phone in the bed or near the bed. All that blue light is throwing off your circadian rhythm. If you can't sleep in the middle of the night, getting on your phone doesn't make it better. It just makes it worse. You'd be surprised how easily you could fall back to sleep if you just didn't have the phone to distract you. And I still wake up in the middle of the night sometimes, whether it's just because I woke up or because I need to use the restroom. But in any case, I have been getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night ever since then. So I don't sleep with my phone in the room. I wake up, I make up my bed, and then the next thing I do is pray and set intentions for the day. And I'll do another video that just breaks down each of these things more in detail. So that you can see the significance of it and why it's so important to me, especially as someone who's like non-religious and like, wait, you pray? I pray every single morning. And I'll explain that in another video. And I set my intentions almost like a sort of game day. Like if you ever played sports, the coach comes in. All right, we just got done with warm-ups. Okay, guys, we got Dallas, whatever tonight. Y'all know the drill. We've watched the film. This is what we're going to do. This is the mindset we're going to have this game. We're over last game. Last game happened, whether it was a win or a loss. It doesn't matter. We are present for today. This is what we're doing today. This is the game plan. This is the type of players we're going to be. We're going to go after loose balls. We're going to go after rebounds. We're going to box out. We're going to run the plays right. We're going to play defense. All those things, right? That's what I'm doing. The night before, I've written down what I plan to do the next day, and I'm looking at my journal, my task for the day, and I'm like, this is what we're doing. Okay, you got to do a podcast, you got to do this or whatever. What type of person do you want to be? How are you going to show up? And it's sort of a reset button in the morning to be like, this is what we're doing. No matter what happened yesterday, today's a new day, and this is the type of person we're going to be. Man, I want to rant about all of these things, but I'll keep it pushing. I did 45 push-ups that morning. I've kind of cut the push-ups out since then, but that was the thing that I was doing for probably about a month and a half. Yeah, I cut it out. But water, that used to be the first thing I did, but now I pushed it a little later. So I drink 2 glasses of water every single morning to hydrate myself. Sometimes I put Himalayan salt in there. Don't overdo that because it will make the movement move in your body. I'll just put it that way. There's going to be some motion and some furniture moving. It's going to clear some things out. So take it easy on the Himalayan salt. But hydrate. You have gone at least 8 hours without any water or food. Your body is needing nutrition and hydration. So I drink water and I eat oatmeal every single morning. Every single morning I eat oatmeal with fruits. I ain't gonna lie. It really, some people are like, how can you eat it? I would get tired of it. I wasn't getting tired of it until about 2 weeks ago. That's when it hit me. And I had to write in my journal, man, I've been saying God is in the mundane. I had to make it more specific. God is in the oatmeal, man. Oatmeal, until I find a better alternative that I can switch up with, it's just so easy to get that grain in the morning, the fiber, the healthy carbs in your body for your body to feed on and not feed on your muscle that you've been trying to build up overnight. Like I go straight for the oatmeal and fruits. It's just a great way and it's easy. I have old-fashioned oatmeals, but I put it in the microwave for 3 minutes, super easy. Throw some strawberries, blueberries, walnuts and raisins in it to kind of keep it spicy and not too boring. Throw a little honey on top for sweetening. And that's my first breakfast in the morning, as well as a protein shake. Highly recommend drinking. Actually, I drink that technically right before the oatmeal, just to immediately. My body needs nutrition. So I put some protein in there and then I eat oatmeal and then I'll have my coffee. I love my coffee black. I take it black like you. And then I do my creative morning dive, which is writing for 10 minutes, not journaling, but creatively writing about something, just to turn that switch on. Like, hey, as we're going through the day, let's think creatively. As we see and have new experiences, let's consume these things from a creative mind. And then I'll read for 20 to 30 minutes. You can get a lot done if you just chip away at it. I'll get more into that theory of like just doing a little bit, setting the bar low. That's been one of my mantras for this season is short-term goals are low as fuck. Long-term goals, high as fuck. Short-term goals, low as fuck. Set the bar low. The reason why you may be failing at some of your long-term goals is because your short-term goals are extremely high. They're way too high. So 20 to 30 minutes a day. Then I'll call my mom or my dad. I've called my parents, except for Sundays. They're in church around this time. I'll text them or something. But Every single day, I have talked to my mom and my dad on the phone. I was feeling really guilty about that. And I know a lot of people who feel that way. They've left home, and ever since college, you get busy with your own life. And it's cool at first, but then you get older, and every time you come home or see your parents, those of you who are in your 30s, y'all, you know the feeling where your parents have sort of always just been adults in your life, and they've essentially been evergreen and stayed the same age in your mind this entire time. Like, you didn't really know how old they were growing up, or you didn't really know what that meant to be 30 something or 40 something when you're growing up. So it's like, yeah, that's my parents. And then you get older and you start to see them move a little slower. You start to see more wrinkles show up on their face. Maybe this part under their neck or whatever is not as firm as it used to be. Their cognition is not as quick. All these things, these little signifiers of like, my parents are not immortal. And it makes you feel more guilty when you don't call them that often still. And again, I'll get more into these specifically later on. But this has been one of the joys of my mornings, is to talk to my parents. And little by little, it starts off very routine, and then the novel comes. The leaves grow, and I'm learning so much about my parents. And I set the bar low. I said, I'm only going to talk to them for 5 minutes a day. That's now turned to like 15, 20 minutes. And to not make my morning routine go too long, I've tried to multitask and talk to them while I'm making my oatmeal or my coffee. And I'll still talk to them as I'm walking to my next thing in my routine, which I'll talk about in a second. But I've learned so much about my mom and my dad. It's crazy. And you're like, man, why didn't I know this before? And now I want to get this on audio. And so my mom has got a new morning routine because of me. She looks forward to talking to me. She's got her own thing that she's made for herself, and her life is becoming better. Kind of like it's really contagious, you know? And it's just been a joy, man. It's been great. Next thing I do is go to the gym. I work out. I lift weights 6 days a week. Sundays is my rest and recovery day. But Monday through Saturday, I strength train. I lift, and then I run a mile. I was running a mile every single day. Now I run it about 3 or 4 days a week. I play basketball on Sundays too, so there's some cardio there. That's kind of like my recreational day. But with the running, I hate running. If I'm not playing basketball, I hate running on a treadmill. Oh my gosh. But I was like, you got to run, Joe. You need it for your cardio fitness. So I set the bar low as fuck. Told myself I was going to run 3 minutes on the treadmill. That's it. 3 minutes. 3 minutes. What is the lowest number you can do for whatever goal you have? What's the lowest thing you can do today? Oh, I want to write a book. Okay. A book is a long thing. Can you write for 10 minutes today? No, that's too long too. 5 minutes. 5 minutes is more than you did yesterday. Whatever it is, set the bar extremely low and slowly, incrementally increase it. So I went from 33 minutes to 3.5 minutes a day. Then I did 4 minutes. Then I did 4.5, 5, till I got to 11. I realized I was running a mile, which is a very slow mile, 11 to 12 minute mile. But I was running slow. I hate it. But then eventually I was like, oh, let's turn this thing around. Instead of adding 30 seconds, let's start shaving off time, but having to run that mile in shorter and shorter time. Got my mile down to about 6 minutes and 45 seconds. So I like that. Been great. Then after that, I'll stretch, do some mobility stuff, just trying to stay mobile and flexible and all that. And then I eat my second breakfast, which is egg whites and toast and some more fruit and some more protein. And then I take a hot shower and then a cold shower. Actually, let me be honest. Let me tell you what I do before that hot shower or cold shower. I have trained myself, we're talking about systems. I have trained my body to do the number 2 at the same time every single day. It is amazing. Let me tell you. Because the days that I have, like, my schedule got thrown off or whatever, and then you have to go during the day, it's like, let me just get it out of the way. What better time to do that than right before you take a shower? It's perfect. And I love it. I just get it out of the way in the morning. I feel fresh and clean, and let's just do it in the morning, fam. So Right after my second breakfast, I go do the number 2, and then I take a shower. And then at the end of my shower, I turn the water all the way cold, and I take a 1 to 2 minute cold shower. Again, another video about the benefits of cold showers, but I've loved it. It has been difficult. Every morning I have this negotiation, and I almost don't do it every single time. But somehow I keep convincing myself to just do it. So I do it, and it got harder as the weather got colder outside. I'm living in sunny California, but that doesn't matter. It still gets to 40-something degrees outside, which means the water ain't that warm when you turn it all the way cold. But I've enjoyed it. Then after that, I do quick, skincare stuff. And then I floss, brush, and mouthwash. Every single day and every single night, I floss first, brush, mouthwash. That is the morning routine. I'll do another video about each of these sections. Leave comments and questions that you may have about the different parts of the routine, and maybe that'll give me some more ideas for what I need to talk about as I break these things down. But that is my morning system. I'm slowly building my night system as well. That's a bit tricky right now this month. I've always told myself I want to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I've been going through a beginner's training for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for the past few weeks. And so that's kind of thrown off. It's at night, and it's different times at night. Sometimes it's at 8:45 at night. So it's kind of thrown off my night routine a little bit. And it's kind of affecting the time that I get up in the morning. So I've been getting up a little later than I'd like to. But all in all, I don't regret doing it. I'm enjoying it. I can't wait to further that. So that's my morning routine. That's what I've done for the past 75 days or more. And I hope to continue it. I believe everyone can have a system. Now, maybe not this system, maybe not this elaborate, but a routine is literally doing one thing and then something else after it. So even if your routine starts off as I wake up and every morning I make up my bed and I drink a glass of water, that is a routine. Simple as that. You may say, well, I got kids, or I'm in school, I'm working on my PhD, I'm doing this. I don't care what you do. You can have some sort of routine every morning that can be intentional and not just a routine or system that you fall into, but something that you've set for yourself. And just wait for the results that come from that. Your life will be so much better for it. So that's it.